Why you'll never be happy chasing success. Do this instead. You hit the goal. You did the thing. You accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. You said exactly what you were going to do, and you did it. So why does it not feel the way you thought it would, right? Well, what if we told you that everything you've been taught about success and happiness is backwards, right? Get successful, then be happy, right? That chasing success, and once you get there, then you're going to be really happy. But what if it's actually the other way around? Right? Because when you chase success and you find it, that leads to wanting more and more and more. So it becomes a cycle where you might never actually be happy. So stay with us, because what we're about to share changed the way Sourena thinks about everything and everything that he's building. And it might do the same thing for you.
I can't wait for you. What makes you happy? Share it with the rest of the video. Please will take a bite. We have a run about happiness.
And I will tell you why and how you can increase your happiness.
Take it away, please.
I'll take it away. These videos are a collaboration. Sourena, who has cerebral palsy, develops the written material, and I present it on camera. Sourena is a huge sports fan. Man, he loves his Dodgers, his Lakers, his Seahawks, his Cleveland Browns. Oh wait, no, that's me, and that has nothing to do with happiness for those of you who are familiar with the Cleveland Browns. But what Sourena noticed watching his teams, who a lot of them have had a lot of success, as a matter of fact, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl this year. The Dodgers won the Major League Baseball World Series this year. But what happens is they do the party, and then the very next day, what's the big conversation? Not reflecting, not being happy, but can we repeat, right? What moves do they need to make? And there's nothing wrong with that, wanting to continue being successful and accomplish goals. But the thing is, are they ever truly happy, right? The trophy's barely in hand, and they're already moving on to the next thing. And Sourena will tell you that's not just in sports, right? That's most of life, most of the time. So in this video, we're going to break down some of Sourena's thoughts on why the traditional success formula is actually flawed, what Harvard research shows about the relationship between happiness and achievement, and then 6 strategies that you can start using today to build a life that actually feels as good as it looks. So let's get into it. The backwards formula. Here's the story that most of us grew up on. Work hard, achieve success, be happy. Right? And by the way, that sounds logical, right? We've all heard that story one way, shape, or form. But what Harvard researcher Sean Acher showed was that he spent years studying psychology of achievement, and what he found in the happiness advantage completely flipped that model around, right? His research shows that happiness doesn't follow success. Happiness drives success, right? Think about that. Happiness doesn't follow success. Happiness drives success. When people operate from a positive mental state, right? Positive emotional state, the brain performs better. It's more productive. People are more socially engaged, right? And they spot opportunities that people who operate from a not so optimistic or not so happy mindset, or even a neutral mindset, don't see, right? Because your brain at its positive performs significantly better than it does at negative, or even at neutral, or when you're stressed. Why the goalposts always move. And here's why the achieve success, then be happy doesn't necessarily work. It's that moving goalpost. It's what we said before about Sourena and talking about his favorite sports teams, right? They win, and that's exciting for a second, and then it's, how do we do this again next year? What players do we got to get rid of? What moves do we have to make? What players do we have to acquire? What changes do we have to make, right? The goalpost moves. You think you're there, and then it moves. Not always a bad thing either, right? Because when you achieve a certain amount of success, you're now capable of even more success, right? But again, the flaw with that is that continues to happen, which is good, and you're achieving more and more, but you never hit that point of happiness, which is why that flipped model of being happy first is going to be something that is just so important to you. And this isn't a character flaw, right? It's not something we're doing wrong. It's just human psychology, right? Researchers call this the hedonic treadmill, right? We adapt, we normalize, and then we want more, right? The problem isn't being ambitious, right? Ambition is not the issue here, because ambition is powerful. But the problem is trying your sense of well-being on things that you just can't always control, right? Your happiness on things that the goalpost is moving. So it's things like that that make it that much more challenging, and why the model is actually backwards. So what we want you to do is write down one thing you achieved in the past 2 years that you expected to make you happy, and did it. And if it did, for how long? That's your evidence. Joy changes what you see. When you walk into a situation expecting the worst, you'll find confrontation everywhere. right? If you assume an employee can't be trusted, you're not going to trust them and you're not going to build a great relationship. You'll notice every little mistake and they'll be blown up into big mistakes and you'll overlook the good things that they actually do, right? If you assume romance doesn't exist, then you'll miss it when it's standing right in front of you and you'll never have that relationship that you're looking for. And this isn't mystical, even though it may sound that way. It's how the brain's reticular activating system works, right? You see what you're primed to see, right? And I want to be clear, right? This isn't about toxic positivity. It's not about ignoring red flags or pretending that everything in the world is great and perfect and positive at all times, right? We're not pretending there aren't any problems, roadblocks, or issues, right? Those things do exist. But if fear becomes the lens and the only one that you're looking through, you're never going to reach a level of happiness or success for that matter, right? So think of it as two voices on a debating stage. You need both, right? You can't let pessimism run the whole show, but you do have to be realistic. So before your next important conversation or opportunity, we want you to ask yourself one thing. Am I walking into it looking for what could go right, or am I looking for what could go wrong? So here are 6 strategies to build joy now. Not down the road, not when you've achieved something, not later, not someday, but 6 strategies to build joy now, right? We're going to get very practical. These are the positive foundation that makes success not just possible, but sustainable, and more importantly, has a massive positive impact on your happiness. So strategy 1 is build a positive vision. Many people have a very detailed picture of what could go wrong and a blurry picture of what success and happiness actually looks and feels like. That's where you need to flip that, right? You need to go the other way. Spend your time, your energy, and your emotion developing a clear, compelling, specific vision of what your best outcome is, of what happiness looks like. Write it down, make it concrete. And this isn't daydreaming, it's directing. Strategy 2, practice gratitude deliberately. Gratitude has a massive impact on our happiness, right? And on our mindset. And we're not talking about, hey, say thank you more often, right? We're not talking about counting your blessings in a passive way, but actively. Every morning, before you get on your phone, before the news, before you do anything at all, before the noise, before anything at all, name 3 things you're genuinely grateful for and write them down. Why? Because that why makes it really land. Strategy 3, invest in positive relationships. You know people who leave you feeling energized, who bring you up. Be intentional about developing strong relationships with them. Don't let those relationships drift because things get busy. You've got to be intentional because we are social creatures and positive relationships, when we invest in them, have a dramatic impact on our happiness and our success. Strategy 4, bring the joy. Yes, you heard it, bring the joy. Coach Brendan Bouchard says it simply, bring the joy. That's his amazing 3 words of advice, but it is in fact actually amazing, right? Don't wait for circumstances to be joyful. You decide the energy you carry into a room. You know, when dinner service is slow, shift the table's energy. On a tough project, remind the team what they're capable of, even if they're not exactly where they want to be at the time. You're not a passenger of the mood of your surroundings. You don't have to wait for joy because oftentimes if you wait, it doesn't come. Be the one who brings the joy. Strategy 5, serve someone else. When someone writes something for an audience, something shifts. He stops thinking about his limitations, his cerebral palsy, and all the challenges that he has, right? And starts thinking about yours and how he can help you and provide information just like this that you can use, right? So he has that shift. That service interrupts self-pity, right? It puts your challenges into proportion, right? And it fills you with a quiet satisfaction that achievement rarely does, right? So serve other people. And strategy 6, protect your energy through habits. Sleep, exercise, eat well, movement, laughter. Those things aren't nice to haves, right? They're not luxuries. They're an infrastructure of high functioning mindsets, right? People that have those things dialed in are more positive. They find happiness before success. It's just one of those keys. We've all been in a position where we feel like we're running on fumes, right? And when we are in that position, we don't make as good of decisions. We're more nervous. We're more irritable. We default to negativity and fear, right? We want to build habits that keep you resourced enough to actually do the hard things well. And think about that for just 1 second. Think about the last time something just wasn't great, or you weren't feeling well, or you didn't have a great night's sleep, and you had a big decision in front of you. Think about how you would make that decision feeling that way. But when you're positive, upbeat, well rested, you feel good, you just exercised, you're going to look at that same situation so differently and likely make a much more important, crucial, and better decision. So redefining what success actually is. Here's the question that changes everything. What are you actually building towards? Okay? What are you actually building towards? Success is not a dollar amount. It's not how many stamps are in your passport. It's not the label on your clothes, right? Those things may come and go. And by the way, you might enjoy that. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting those things and, putting on that designer shirt and feeling great about yourself when you look in the mirror. That's great. But they can't be the definition, right? Success, you decide what it means. It's a mindset. It's a daily choice, right? The people that seem to genuinely have it all, they're not the ones who suffered the longest and then got rewarded, right? They're the ones who found a way to show up with intention and gratitude and presence, right? While still moving everything forward. So define what success looks like for you. Not just what it looks like according to culture or expectations or social media, what your friends and family think. Make it yours and write that down. So I want to leave you with 3 of Sourena's thoughts, right? 1, happiness is not a reward for success. It is the foundation. Build on your foundation first. 2, understand that the goalpost will always move. And the only way off that treadmill is to decide that joy is available to you right now in this moment, not after the next thing or the next thing. And then 3, you're not waiting for permission to feel good about your life. That decision belongs to you today. Exactly, right here, right now. Just as things are, that decision is up to you. So, as you know, Sourena loves to give you homework, so here's your homework. Before you set your next goal, ask yourself, am I happy in the pursuit, right? Not, will I be happy when I get there? Am I happy right now in the process? And if the answer is no, that's where you need to think, and that's where you need to start. So if this hit home for you, drop something in the comments and tell us what's one thing you're grateful for today. Not when you achieve your next step in your progress and your goals, but what are you grateful for today? Let's start that conversation. And if you know somebody that needs to hear this message, make sure you share this video or tag them in the comments below, because this might be exactly what they need to take the next step forward on their journey to happiness. So we'll see you in the next one. If you enjoy this content, make sure that you download Sourena's ebook, 5 Keys to an Amazing Mindset, by clicking on the link in the description. And also, please like, comment, and share.